Things are happening that haven't happened in our government for a long time. The other night, as you know, we had a vote on border security, and I think we want to discuss this just for a second. But the House of Representatives voted 217 to 185, approving strong border security and the money necessary to take care of the barrier, wall, or steel slats, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same. It was a tremendous evening for the Republicans, to be honest with you, because the level of spirit, the level of happiness, a lot of people came out. They said they have never seen, one man in particular, he's been there for over 20 years, he said, I've never seen spirit or enthusiasm like this. They came from all parts of the country. A couple of them came from other parts outside, so I say all parts of the world, in order to vote. And they voted, and it was an incredible vote. And we were told that you would never get the House to vote. Well, we were able to get the House to vote. And it wasn't that we did it, they did it. They were incredible. So I want to thank, in this case, House Republicans, because what they did was rather incredible. And now the Senate is looking at it. We just had a meeting with some of our great senator Republicans, and lasted for a long time. Tremendous enthusiasm for border security. And I think I can speak for them very strongly when I say they want to see something happen on border security. They want the security of safety. They want safety for our country. Drugs are pouring in, and we've done an incredible job considering we have no barrier. But drugs are pouring into our country. Human trafficking is at the all-time worst in history because of the internet. And the human trafficking problem is a problem that has gone on through the ages, but it's never been worse because of the internet all over the world. This isn't the United States, this is all over the world. So we need border security, and the Republicans in the Senate, as you know, are taking it up today. And it's really up to the Democrats, totally up to the Democrats as to whether or not we have a shutdown. It's possible that we'll have a shutdown. I would say the chances are probably very good, because I don't think Democrats care so much about maybe this issue, but this is a very big issue. It's an issue of crime. It's an issue of safety. It's an issue of least importantly, dollars. Spend $285 billion a year on illegal immigration. We have to finally do it. The wall will pay for itself on a monthly basis. I mean, literally every month it pays for itself. So we're talking about small amounts of money. Think of it, we approved, and we got good Democrat support. Military last year, $700 billion. Recently, $716 billion for the military. And here we're talking about $5 billion. So it's a tiny fraction, but unfortunately, they've devoted their lives to making sure it doesn't happen. And that wasn't for what should happen, that was for political reasons. So we are going to be working very hard to get something passed in the Senate. There's a very good chance it won't get passed. It's up to the Democrats. So it's really the Democrat shutdown, because we've done our thing. When Nancy Pelosi said you'll never get the votes in the House, we got them, and we got them by a big margin, 217 to 185. So now it's up to the Democrats as to whether or not we have a shutdown tonight. I hope we don't, but we're totally prepared for a very long shutdown. And this is our only chance that we'll ever have, in our opinion, because of the world and the way it breaks out, to get great border security. Ronald Reagan tried many years ago, got a note from a member of his family, many years ago, tried to get a wall. And he fought for a long time during his entire term, and he was never able to get a wall. And I consider him to be a great president. He knew what he was doing. We are going to, one way or the other, we're going to get a wall, we're going to get a barrier, we're going to get anything you want to name it. You can name it anything you want. But we cannot let what's been going on in this country over the last 10 years, we just can't let it happen.
Let's bring in Louisiana Louisiana Congressman Steve Scalise. I am not awake yet. House Majority Whip. Thank you very much for talking to us. All right, so first of all, let's just talk about the Democrats, how hard they will push against this. Because as we know, Senators Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, they have made it clear they are not funding this wall under no circumstances, which explains why the president this morning on Twitter has called for a nuclear option to ram border wall funding through the Senate. Here's his tweet, basically calling on the Senate to change the rules so Republicans can pass through the bill, writing, Mitch, use the nuclear option and get it done. Our country is counting on you. Is Mitch McConnell going to push this through?
Well, Julie, good morning. First of all, I think some of those same Democrats that you're saying that are saying there's no way they'll get it passed, they were the same people that were saying there was no way we would get it passed in the House last night. So I think there's something really important about the weight of the American people pushing on this issue and President Trump continuing to fight to keep America safe. And that's really what this fight is about. Chuck Schumer voted to have a wall years ago. So this isn't about whether or not we should keep America safe. Some of those Democrats that you're talking about just don't want to see President Trump get a win. And the American people see through this. They want a secure border. They elected President Trump in large part because of his promise to keep this country safe. Let's follow through on it. Let's see them put the votes up or at least start negotiating. Last night, with the huge vote we put up, 217 to 185 in the House, we gave President Trump tremendous leverage in this negotiation to keep America safe.
So the Department of Homeland Security, I want to talk about the funding, if they were to get the $5.7 billion. Homeland Security estimates this border wall would cost about $21 billion. There was an MIT study a few months ago that estimated the cost could actually double that. So even if the $5.7 billion did pass, where does the remaining $15 billion come from?
Well, that's over years, but what President Trump has said is in the next year, he needs about $5 billion to build the wall and to use technology and other things. One of the things you've got to look at that we put in our bill yesterday, there are prohibitions in law today that tell the president where he can and can't build the wall. They tell the president in law what he can and can't use to build the wall. So President Trump knows there are much more efficient ways to build an even stronger wall that cost a lot less money, and yet, ironically, in a bizarre Washington twist, he's blocked in law from using those smarter, better ways to build wall. We took that out. We removed all of those prohibitions, so we let the president build the wall in the best, most cost-effective way for this country, saving billions of dollars as well. All of that was in the bill. Let's let now the Senate and these Democrats in Washington that used to be for a wall until President Trump wanted it. Now let's start a negotiation where President Trump has real leverage. They walked into the White House last week and said the president won't get the votes in the House. The president just put up a huge vote on the scoreboard yesterday working with us.
Okay, regarding the nuclear option, that's basically the big question on the table right now. I want to play Sarah Sanders, a clip from her interview on Fox and Friends this morning, recommending just that. Listen.
They should. This is such an important issue, and it's something that all of America wants to see happen. And frankly, Americans want to be protected. The Senate has a constitutional duty and a constitutional authority to actually protect our country. We can't be a sovereign country if we don't have borders and we don't have protection of American citizens. And so we hope that they'll step up and do their jobs.
So by the Trump administration calling for a nuclear option, they're calling for the Senate essentially to change the rules, which means only a simple majority is needed instead of the usual 60-vote threshold to advance legislation to a final vote. We know Democrats are going to object to this. Could there be a compromise like you sort of alluded to moments ago?
Well, let's see if they can start negotiating in good faith. I think a lot of those folks in the Senate didn't want to negotiate because they didn't think the House would pass this bill. But now we've done that. They are going to have to confront this issue that the rest of the country's already been recognizing Washington needs to confront. We've got problems at our border. We're a generous nation on immigration. But look, every day the Department of Homeland Security stops really bad people from coming over, bringing drugs into our country, human trafficking. Last year, ICE agents alone saved over 900 kids from human trafficking in this country. things that are happening at the border. We need to keep it safe. Let's have a real negotiation. Now President Trump has even more leverage in that negotiation because the House proved we can get it done. Let's see the Senate figure out every tool they have to go and try to figure out how to get this done as well, get that bill on the president's desk.
There have been studies that walls work. You talk about, children being illegally crossed across the border and trafficked, and that is why, one of the many reasons why this wall is needed, according to the Trump administration. But there's also another bump in the road, and that's the hundreds of miles that are privately owned by farmers along the Texas border. And there's dozens of lawsuits. They're going to cost millions of dollars, millions upon millions of dollars to settle before wall construction could even begin. Where does the money come from to settle these cases? Because this isn't something new. This has been going on for decades, these lawsuits.
Well, and all of that needs to be confronted, but that's one of the reasons why people just said, well, it's going to be just too tough to get it done, so they never did it. It's time to finally take that on. And you have a president who is a builder. Look, President Trump, more than anybody, knows how to get things done and how to build things. And there's always going to be somebody standing in your way saying, well, there's some environmentalist group that's going to file a lawsuit. Well, you know what? We usually win those lawsuits, but you have to actually go and take them on. And nobody took them on because they just said, well, it's going to be too tough. We've got a tough president now who's saying, I'm going to stand up for this country and keeping America safe. And this is a fight worth having.
Yeah.
We need to have this fight for the future of our country.
So the president says that the Democrats want to shut down. The Democrats say the president wants to shut down. A note to the Democrats that if a partial government shutdown happens, that's bad, right? Then you've got the potential of a presidential veto or the failure of the House and the Senate to pass the same bill would actually mean that hundreds of thousands, and this is something that's not being spoken about enough, hundreds of thousands of federal employees, including Border Patrol, FBI, DEA agents, and TSA officers, would have to continue to work over the Christmas holiday without pay, while hundreds of thousands of other federal workers would be furloughed. That is something the Democrats need to listen to.
And that's going to be on their backs because, look, while the president has said he wants to get this done, the Democrats are more concerned about who gets blamed for it if it happens. They don't want to give the president a victory, but the president's fighting for America's national security and securing the border, something even people that have different feelings on immigration than President Trump, by and large, most of them think we ought to have a secure border and then have a legal way to come into this country.
All right.
And even President Trump has said there is a legal way to come here. Follow the law. Let's get back to rule of law.
All right. Congressman Steve Scalise, thank you very much. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you.
And I don't know if you've ever heard the song by Ray Charles, I Love You in a Place Where There Is No Space or Time. Have you ever heard that?
No, I haven't.
Look for it. Michael Bublé did it too. It is how I feel about my wife. And the line, the main line in it is, I love you in a place where there is no space or time. That's eternity. That is heaven. And in my faith, we believe that you can be married civilly, and that is till death do you part, but you can also be joined together forever through all eternity. Tanya and I were married civilly first, and then a year later, we were married eternally. And I will tell you that we took it very seriously when we got married civilly. But when we got married eternally and took it seriously, really we believe we will be together through all time. And it changes everything. It deepens everything. Just like marriage deepens, when you go the extra step and say, we will never be apart, and you bind yourselves together with God, I will tell you that you start having conversations. It was so strange. And it wasn't in a bad way or anything else. It just happened to both of us. We got back, and within a week, we were both saying, okay, I got to talk to you about something because this kind of drives me nuts. And it was just because you're starting to think, if I'm going to be with you for all time, I'm going to lose my mind. And it changes and deepens your relationship so much. I urge you to consider just at least thinking about your marriage as eternal.
Yeah.
That it doesn't end when you die.
I agree.
Yeah, already there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Great. I don't know if you know the song Cheap Ass Weave by Cardi B. But it really delves into some important. Maybe we'll talk about it off the air.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah, that's an important issue. Before you leave.
Thank you.
You've cheapened it with that and the cat sweater that lights up. But other than that, we're good. Merry Christmas, guys.
Thank
Merry
you.
Christmas. God
Merry
bless.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank
Welcome to the Glenn Beck program. Last broadcast for me until the holidays pass, and it was kind of a cool way to. Didn't expect them to come in and do that.
That was very cool.
Yeah.
Seeing Sarah Gonzalez, she's getting married, host of News and Why It Matters.
Yeah.
And I noticed, you always come up with these moments. Were you going for an on-air conversion to Mormonism there? Was that you just going for it? You just went right on the air, hoping they just switch
I'm
over?
hoping there. I put some Mormon mojo on that thing, and even though I've signed it as a minister of the Church of,
But you lettered it in the Mormon language.
Universal Life, Modesto, California.
Right.
So So
Well, I was.
I'm going to get him into the water.
I noticed you went for some spiritual moment and you sort of dismissed mine. And you do this all
you're
the time.
talking about the song?
You do this all the time. I'm sick of kind of being, I'm always the butt of your jokes.
Yeah.
And I'm always
The laughing stock.
The laughing stock and
Right, the whipping
the
boy.
victim here.
The victim,
I'm
yeah.
the victim.
Sure
And
you are. Yeah.
I have a lot to offer spiritually, and I never get to do that.
Well,
on the show.
yeah, I mean, I thought your what was the song that you recommended?
Cheap Ass Weave by
yeah,
Cardi
Cheap
B.
Ass. See, I recommended a song for you.
I don't know the words of that one. But I mean, I think the
I don't know the
lyrics-
words of Cheap Ass Weave either.
Really?
Yeah.
You've never?
And this is a spiritually uplifting.
I think so.
All right.
I think so.
Okay. Do you have
Sure.
the lyrics?
Would you like to hear some?
Sure. While you're doing that, I'll look up the lyrics. We could just maybe go back and forth, and we can compare.
Okay. Compare and
go ahead.
contrast.
Yeah, go ahead.
Don't even take no-mo selfies. That weave doesn't even deserve any pictures. Like, where did you buy that S? Who really acknowledged it? What made you feel that you would be lit if you went and copped that S? Think about that. Let it.
Okay, may I just
marinate in
compare
that,
and contrast
America.
here? Mine is, well, I've been a lot of places in my life and time. I've sung a lot of songs and I've made some bad rhymes. I've acted my life out in stages with 10,000 people watching, but now we're alone and I'm singing my song for you.
I mean, that's not bad. That's not bad. What about this though? They tell you look good. Wasn't you iffy? Oh, I know. They tell you get 2 bundles for $50. Girl, you ain't low. I know how this go. Cheap shoes is okay. Cheap dress is okay. But cheap weave is a no.
And I know your image of me is what I hope to be,